Welcome to the Fabric Podcast, where we explore company culture and how it scales as a company grows. Brought to you by the team at The Receptionist, a bootstrapped, Denver-based software company. Each episode of Fabric will set out to uncover unique and uncommon answers to the question, how do companies of any size create a culture and core values that employees actually live out? On this episode of the Fabric Podcast, we've got our Director of Marketing, Michael Ashford, along with guest Matt Walde, President and doer of all things at Brightlark Digital, an agency we've partnered with for several years here at The Receptionist. They're discussing the state of marketing in 2021, sharing about their philosophies on marketing, discussing what they saw happening to marketing during COVID, and what they see happening now in 2021 as we're feeling like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Enjoy the episode. We're so excited to be back on the podcast. Michael, welcome back.
You know, after a long time where I wasn't on any of these, I feel like I'm a regular on these shows now. So thanks for having me.
It's nice to have you be a regular. And we have a guest today. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I feel like a seasoned vet already.
Good. We like that. Well, we're going to dive right in. So before we kind of get going with today's topic, tell us a little bit about Brightlark Digital and your role there.
Yeah. I'll do my best to keep it brief. We've been around for about 15 years. My background was in paid media while I was in Omaha doing paid search for an e-com company. Kind of funny, but at the time, Yahoo was everything, Google was nothing. And so paid search was our kind of foundational service. We've grown over the years to encompass SEO. We've gotten into content marketing. We've been a HubSpot partner since 2013. And today we're a small or boutique, however you want to put it, inbound agency that focuses on just helping businesses who want to scale more quickly. And they want to attract, engage, and delight more of their customers online. That ends up meaning a whole lot of different things to different businesses, but at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do.
I like that. You delight them. And what is your role there?
Mm-hmm. As president, everything, pretty much everything.
All the things.
Certainly running the business, working with the team, making sure that we're reaching goals for our clients. That's always number one. Business development is my day-to-day. So I enjoy that very much because I think I just like to see how other businesses operate. I do. It's so fascinating to me. So that feeds some inner curiosity to me, and I know I'm helping the businesses we find new right engagements.
That's great.
And I'll chime in here. They're a partner of The Receptionist. So we have had a relationship. What is it, Matt, now? 2.5 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They've been one of those agency partners. We've called them sharpshooters on this show previously, Sarah, where we brought them in for very specific tactical stuff, which we're going to be talking about, and it just flowed into a bigger relationship. So full transparency and authenticity there.
Yeah.
We've done business with Matt and Brightlark for several years now.
Yeah, we go way back. And so we're going to bring it to what's been going on with the state of marketing this year. But before we do, I'd like for each of you to share kind of how you approach marketing or your personal philosophy. So Michael, what about you? How do you approach this?
I've mentioned this on the show before, but it's storytelling. It is telling a story and inviting your prospective customers and your customers into that story to be a part of that story. We've talked about story brand on this show and how really my philosophy is make the customer the hero. To use Donald Miller's language in that's not my own, but it gives words to how I've always operated as a marketer, which is the company story is the customer story and how they succeed, how they find value in whatever service or product that we happen to offer them. That's what we want to amplify. And if we do a really good job of that, other customers will come along and want the same thing. It's that referral, it's that word of mouth, it's that storytelling that we all are, every marketer, no matter what they tell you, we're all chasing that. That's from a high level, 60,000 foot airplane view.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt, what about you? What's your approach or philosophy when it comes to marketing?
Ditto. So much of what Michael believes, I certainly agree with. I find myself saying no more often, which is interesting. This is over the past few years. We get a lot of inquiries with folks thinking they know what they want. So we want SEO. Okay. So we want paid social, paid search, whatever. And my philosophy on marketing has always been, and it's now encompassing more of what Michael was talking about, he actually introduced me to StoryBrand about a month ago, and I've read the book now just about 3 times over. Michael, you'd be amazed at what I'm documenting, putting together. But I'm saying no because it's not what they need. And 10 years ago, as a young, aspiring little pup, I probably would have said yes to more, right? So if they would have asked for SEO, I'd say, sure, yeah, we do SEO. Here's what we charge for it. Is that good? Yeah, okay, well, great, let's go. I pause now and I consider what it is they want, but it's all about the website. It's all about the customer. If they don't have certain, from where we come from, certain analytic elements, certain calls to action, certain engagement elements happening on their site, I don't think social SEO, anything else is really going to help them get to where they want to go. So we start with the website. That's always first. Analytically, looking at what they have going on. But as Michael touched on, it's all about the customer. It's all about the hero. It's all about that story. And so we're even working more of that into, how we work with our clients now.
That's great. And we're recording this in late April 2021. So it feels like we're kind of coming off COVID. It's still very real. But let's talk about what you all have seen happening with marketing during COVID and what was going on with marketing strategies. Matt, what were you seeing maybe with some of your clients?
Mm-hmm. One end of the spectrum to the other is what we saw. And when COVID hit, it was such a blind side, I think, to everyone, obviously. So we did see a number of our clients have to stop what they were doing. We understood, and we were supportive of that. If they were in a tough spot, we were supportive in helping them kind of wind things down. On the flip side, with competition being more or less offline, a number of our clients also increased their media spend. They were getting traffic at a lower cost. That was beneficial to them and their business. We saw some folks getting very creative and wanting to engage more. Folks that maybe previously had conferences or things offline were figuring out ways to execute those online. So it was, hard on one end of the spectrum to see some of these businesses take a pause. A lot of those are coming back, but it was fun to see the creativity out of those folks that were going to push through and make it happen. It was something.
Matt and I meet pretty regularly for virtual coffee since we can't do it in person.
Mm-hmm.
These are the kinds of things, these are the conversations that we got into and have gotten into over the course of the last 12, 18 months, and really precipitated Matt coming on this show because I wanted him to share his thoughts. And it was, again, yeah, it was all across the board, but so much of it was driven towards the tactical and away from what Matt and I just talked about, the story element of it, the brand element of it, trying to tell your company story through branding and identity of who you are and what you're all about. And yeah, it was a little bit of people freaking out. I think I, as a marketer, it was not immune to those feelings of freaking out and being like, what do we got to spend? What do we got to spend to keep the numbers up? And once you kind of resigned yourself to the fact that we're in a time that no one, darn near everyone alive, has never lived through, put a pause on the tactical spending stuff and let's reevaluate the stories that we can tell, the areas that we can dig into. And Matt and I were talking about this the last time we had one of our virtual coffees. Was, there's the people that really truly value and understand marketing in the best way, and the people who were the marketers that were supported by the people that they reported to. I don't want to say had it easiest during this time, but they were able to be, I think, a little bit more creative, a little bit more open-minded. They were able to evaluate what they were doing, and it wasn't always just, let's try and throw more money at a problem, or let's pull back on spending any money at all because we're freaking out here. I hope that doesn't sound insensitive, but I had those same feelings and thoughts, right?
We had a lot of client huddles on, like, what the crap do we do, right? There was a period of panic, like great panic. But you're right, Michael, the folks who understood marketing, who understood what would happen to their business if they pulled it back or took it away, those folks, they wanted to huddle down, let's scrum, let's get creative, let's figure out a way to make this work. Maybe we have to pivot on some of the things. And some of the most fun, we did our best with virtual whiteboarding or whatever it was, Google Doodle, whatever it was. But those were looking back, those were some of the most engaging and real conversations we had in 2020. It was really fun. Those conversations, not everything else.
Yeah. Everything else aside, but to be able to have fun while all of that was going on around us, I think is really important and important to us at the Receptionist. And, we wish that for other people as well, that you can be having fun even in the worst of times. Now, both of you mentioned being creative. Do either of you have an example of some creative marketing that may have come out of this dark period that you liked, that went well, and then maybe even might continue beyond this period?
For us at the Receptionist, and Matt's team was a big part of helping us drive this, was we got a chance to take a look at what people are buying right now, what people are still open, what people are still wanting a visitor management system out there in the world. And we were able to take a look and say, okay, how can we best serve these people and get the information in their hands that they most need during this time? So, I don't want to say a marketer lives for a time like this, but there is an added level of excitement and fun when you get to work on a pivot or a shift, or you're going into a new place, versus just like, not to demean this again, I hope people understand my heart for this, but that's a different place to be at than, let's tweak this campaign in Google Ads by $5 a day and see if we can get one more conversion out of that. Is it necessary? Yes. Is it the thing that gets your creative juices going every morning and excited to get up and work with your team? I'm going to say no. At least for me and my experience, no. So we've talked about on this show, we went into the logistics and the long-term care space and the all the food and beverage manufacturers that were still open. We were creating interactive guides for them with a lot of the help from Matt's agency. We were creating videos that walked people through how do you implement a visitor management system at a time when people are really nervous to be entering a building? What does that look like for you? What does that look like for your customers? And then one of the things that just came out, and we need to link this in the show notes, James, our creative manager, he created a rap about fabric. Like he created a rap about fabric, and it is one of the most shared things that we've ever posted to social media as a company, most commented. Because we wanted it to be about the brand, we wanted to let people know that, hey, if you need a little bit of comic relief, we're here. This is who we are. We're fun to work with. And gosh, can we please have some levity during this time? I know I just talked a whole lot. So Matt.
That was perfect. What we saw and what we're still seeing, brands are realizing, okay, if we have fewer people coming to the website, that just is what it is. If demand is down for, COVID or whatever reason, we're going to deal with that. They have wanted to communicate with their customers in a more direct, more personalized way. They've turned their attention from, as Michael is pointing out, the ad campaigns or the ads or things that they're pushing out or using to try and pull people in, and it's been more about engagement. And so they're looking at ways that they can better speak on their website, okay, through storytelling, as Michael is touching on. How can we more clearly, more effectively communicate with our clients? How can we more effectively offer them, content that will help them solve problems? How can we on a more personal level, how can we communicate via email in a succinct way? So I think this whole effort, it really did put more of an emphasis, at least with our clients and partners, I feel, on that communication with their partners. And if we have fewer opportunities, we better do a better job of communicating our message to those folks. And that's what I saw. And that came in a number of different, creative ways. But that was a wholesome feeling, seeing the brands but lock in on that. It was cool.
Yeah. And now that we are sort of seeing this light at the end of the tunnel of COVID, and many companies, maybe you're trying to rebound or get back on track, what are you seeing companies do when it comes to marketing? Matt, what are you noticing?
Mm-hmm. So if you would have asked me this last summer, okay, what are people going to be demanding? What kind of services are they going to want when COVID starts to dissipate? I would have said paid media, and I would have been wrong. And I would have said paid media. I know there's a challenge in having a budget or having money to really get that moving. But it's a driver of results. Like it should have some instant impact on what you're doing. And I felt like businesses may want that revenue. What I'm seeing and what we've been doing more of than anything else in the last 6 months has been SEO and what we call CROW, conversion rate optimization. It's almost like I mean, I sound like a broken record in sales. It's almost the same thing time and time again. And I'm agreeing with that. I agree that the brands need this. When I ask these companies why they feel they want SEO and CROW, knowing these, neither of which are really overnight, successes, they take time. They want to feel as if they're in more control. They want greater control over the website. They want greater control over the experience people have on their site. They're less interested, even though I know media spends across the board are going up. In our space, they're less interested in pushing out and paying for messaging. They're instead focusing on that experience on their site through SEO and CROW, which is really interesting. But in a lot of ways, it makes sense given a year that people had relatively little control. The desire and the demand to want control now over their website just resonates, and it makes a lot of sense.
There's a marketer that I follow and interact with quite a bit. His name's Jay Acunzo, and he runs the podcast 3 Clips, and he wrote the book Break the Wheel. And he talks a lot about his philosophy of marketing, which I think flows really well into what he also runs the podcast Unthinkable, which is a fantastic podcast as well. He talks about his attitude towards marketing is it's not about how many people arrive, it's about how many people stay.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about SEO and creating great interactive, engaging content and conversion rate optimization that makes it easier for someone to interact with you and become a part of your ecosystem as a brand or as a company, that makes a lot of sense. And that's what I'm seeing. Jay is kind of championing that mantra. A lot of other marketers are out there championing that mantra of, look, the traffic that we were getting pre-pandemic is maybe not even a fourth of what we were getting, of what we're getting now. It's really important that the people that we are attracting, that we give them a reason to stay, that we give them a reason to stick around and see what we have to say, that we make them feel good about their decision to stay and stick around. So that is no surprise to me that Matt is seeing that on the agency side and helping all these brands with the work that he and his team do, which pumping Matt up here. It's phenomenal work. Absolutely. But that is why it's so important. We marketers really have to make the most of the traffic that we're getting at a time where it's really hard to get traffic.
Absolutely. And now within marketing, there's short-term strategies, there's longer-term strategies, and you two have a certain approach that you take. Can you share with us your thoughts on maybe these different strategies and why a certain approach might be, I don't want to say better, but why you might favor one approach over the other? Michael, what about you?
I think if we're breaking it out into the really tactical stuff of paid search, paid media, I'd even go so far as to lump in SEO and conversion rate optimization as a tactic that can be a larger part of a bigger story, of a longer play. I mean, certainly SEO and CRO, like Matt just said, they are a little bit of a longer play, even though they are a tactic, and you can feel like you're getting your hands dirty right now and actually moving the needle. But again, it is humanizing your brand. It is pushing out that information that may not immediately get you a lead or a free trial or a deal or somebody to ask for pricing, but it creates affinity for you. The brand Wistia is a huge champion of what they call brand affinity marketing. It is building up and letting people know the humans behind the brand are actually humans. And we believe in this product so much that we want to give you this stuff. We want to create content for you that helps you in your job. With this show, this podcast is a great example of that. We want to put content out there that helps other companies run their business in a more human and authentic way. We think that makes business better. And we're even going through steps to better articulate that. And we think if we do that, if we provide an example of a way to do that, down the road, if you're ever in the market for a visitor management system, hope to be top of mind. And I'm being transparent and honest and saying, like, that's a marketer's job to do something like that, but we also have a greater cause for what we're doing. I don't know if that answers the question whole, like in totality, but that's where I see it. That's where I see it going.
In a lot of ways, I do again want to piggyback. See, it's not fair when Michael goes first because he has such good answers. I would totally copy off you in school, Michael.
We gave him the hard job though, Matt. You're the guest. We wanted to make him work a little harder.
You know, when I look at long-term strategies, my mind does go to SEO, which is so important. I think it's just permission to play to have a clean bill of health for every brand, every website, a clean bill of health from an organic perspective. But a strategy that I wish more brands would embrace, it's the hardest. It's what we're doing here, and it's content marketing. And piggybacking on what Michael, shared, it does give you that voice. It does give visitors to your site a feel for what your brand is, what you're about. In a way, they can interpret the personality of your brand. It can answer questions. It can help them solve problems. It does so many things. And I think when a lot of people hear content marketing, they think blogging. Oh my gosh. I think of this in terms of, sure, written content, blogging, what we're doing here, podcasting, video. There are so many different ways and mediums and channels to get your message out via content, which is so engaging. It's the hardest to produce. It is, and I get that. And the thought of starting a content marketing initiative is so daunting. But it's that old adage, right? The best time to plant a tree would have been 20 years ago. The next best time is today. So get going on it. And I think it's what will attract and engage your visitors in the long run.
Absolutely. Well, you've already touched on a lot of great points. And as we wrap up the episode, Matt, I'll let you go first on this one. Any final thoughts on marketing in 2021?
Yeah, I think the obvious is any kind of, in-person events, and I'm feeling this myself. There are a number of conferences throughout the year that I look forward to. Inbound being one of them. That's now virtual. That's not the same. There are a lot of events that used to be in person. I think those are all going to go away. And those are great spots for marketers to meet, network, and hopefully find, some new engagements or new conversations. Marketers are going to have to find a way to recreate those experiences online. Conferences are gone, trade shows are gone, showrooms are less full. And how do we as marketers recreate those experiences online? I think some brands are doing it well. And I think HubSpot has done about as good of a job recreating inbound as you can. As a marketer, I think there are some challenges this year, and maybe I'm just feeling, and Michael, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. But as a marketer, I'm feeling a bit more pressure, just given the circumstances of the country, politically, socially. You have to be very careful, I feel, in what you say. I feel like marketers in the messaging, the channels, the platforms, what you say may be critically evaluated more than it has in the past. And I feel that. And I feel that for ourselves. I know I'm just very careful on what I propose for our clients and what we use internally, because I think we will be more critically evaluated in this year and the next years to come. As people try and evaluate, okay, what's this brand about? What are they trying to say? Who are they? What do they care about? It's something I've had to think about more so now, and I'm feeling it now than I have recently.
Yeah, it's a great point.
It is a great point. And I think it puts the onus on brands and company internally to have that discussion about what do we stand for? What do we want to put our stamp of our company logo on? A perfect example is recently Patagonia said no more logos, company logos on our Patagonia vests.
Mm-hmm.
Causes too much waste. People change jobs too often that, who's going to wear, a vest with the branded company vest from the company they just got fired from. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a company that has said, even to the detriment of our revenue and our bottom line, we are going to make a stand. And there are going to be people who are against that.
Mm-hmm.
And there are going to be a heck of a lot of people who are for it. And those are our people. And if you're going to make a stand like that, if you're going to make a case like that in this climate, you darn well better know what it is you stand for.
Mm-hmm.
Got to have those conversations, to Matt's point, because you will be, no matter where you land, critically evaluated in the public eye.
It can be a decision like that, a logo that will no longer be on a vest. It can be a tweet. It can be anything. And so yeah, I feel like there's a greater lens on marketing now than there has been in maybe my lifetime. I don't know. But I certainly know we're taking that second and third look at everything we produce to make sure it's on point.
Yeah. And that it represents your brand and how you want to speak for yourself. So
Exactly.
A little scary at the end, guys. I got to say, I think you've put a little fear into people before they hit publish, but I think that's good because, brands need to be aware of how they're speaking and who they're speaking to. So really good information.
I've got to throw in one of my favorite quotes ever that I think speaks to exactly that, what you just said. Like, take that extra pause, take that extra moment to think about what you're putting out there, especially as during this time. Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Take that space.
Mm-hmm.
Take a breath. Think about what you're doing.
Yeah. Leave it to Michael to bring us home with an excellent quote. So Michael, thank you for that. And Matt, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. This was fun. A lot of fun.
Great. And Michael, as always, thank you. I'm sure we're going to see you again soon because we're on a roll with you these days.
I know it, right? I'll be back. I always am.
Great. Thank you. Thank you again to Matt Walde from Brightlark Digital for a great conversation on the state of marketing. And don't forget to take some time to watch the video of today's episode over at thereceptionist.com.